Okay, here's our video on box and whiskers. Okay, and box and whiskers are a way to represent data or information or numbers. They're also called box plots, but you'll hear that term in later grades like 8th grade, 9th grade. So here's what it looks like. It's a box with whiskers. That's why they call it a box and whiskers. And here's some information. These are the numbers, the data, and we can represent that data visually. Okay, so we'll go over all these points, but this line right here, this line is the median. It's the median of all the numbers. And we also call it the second quartile, or just Q2. So that's the second quartile. This box over here, this will be the first quartile, or Q1. And this will be Q3, the third quartile. Then we have a maximum, called the max, or the upper extreme, and the minimum number, or the lower extreme. So I'll go over all those terms. First, let's look at a set of numbers so we can make a box and whisker plot. First thing you want to do when you see these numbers is you want to make sure they're in order. So let's look at them. They're not in order. We go and we see that 1 is first, so we put a 1. Make sure you cross it out so you don't miss it. There's another 1 there, right there. Okay, so there's no more 1s left. Then we have 1, 2, 3 2s. 3 2s. Then we have a 4. We have a 5. A 6. An 8. And a 12. So now we put the numbers in order. From there we can make our box and whisker. So remember, when we use box and whiskers, we're going to be using the median. And we went over that term before, the middle number. And we're going to use the median for all these numbers when we make our box and whisker. So now you have to ask yourself, what's the median of all these numbers? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers. So we're not going to have a middle number directly. Okay, the 4 and the 2 are the two middle numbers. There's 4 to the left, 4 to the right. So we have to add 4 and 2 together. We get 6. And we just divide that by 2. So we get our median, our second quartile, our median, bring that up, is 3. So the 3 is the median. Now if I have a number line here, I know right now that 3 is my second quartile, or the median. So I'm going to put a line right here. That represents Q2, or the second quartile, the median. Let's go back now. Now we're looking for the first quartile. And the first quartile is the median of all the numbers to the left of this number. So again, all the numbers to the left of this number. So we should put this number here. We'll just put that a little there just to, so we can see it. And the numbers here now we have 2, 2, 2, 1, and 1. These are the numbers to the left of 3, which is the second quartile, or the median. We want to find the median of all these numbers now. Okay, so let me use another marker. I'm going to circle these numbers. These numbers are now the numbers to the left of Q2, which is what? The median. Good. Or the second quartile. So now let's look for the median here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 2 is the median of those numbers. That's the first quartile. So now on my number line, I can make another box here, connect that, and that'll be Q1. The minimum number we have is 1. That's the lower extreme. So that'll be our whisker. Now I can make a little whisker here. Okay. Now let's look for the third quartile. The third quartile is going to be the median of all the numbers to the right of 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers again, and the median would be 6. That's the third quartile. Let's go back to our chart. 6 is the third quartile, so we can make our box that way. And here we have the third quartile, or Q3. And to finish it off, we need our upper extreme, or the maximum number, which is 12. So I'll make a whisker there, all the way at 12. And there we go. We just made our box and whisker. And here you can see something. It seems like all the numbers are kind of clustered in this area, and this 12 seems to be away from all the numbers. That's an outlier, and I'll talk about that soon. When we do a box and whisker, each area is 1/4 of the data. So from the lower extreme, the minimum, to Q1 is 25% of the data. From Q1 to the median is 25%. From the median Q2 to Q3 is 25%. And from Q3 to the maximum is 25%. So that means that each of these boxes represents 25% of the data. So that's why up here it says each represents 1/4 of the data, and 1/4 is 25%. Okay? So let's look at these test scores. If I said 50% of the students scored between 69 and 87, okay, so let's say that's 69 right here, and that's 87. Within that box is 50%. That's why we say 50% scored within that range. Let's say we'll say 80, we'll make that 80. Let's say the median is 80, Q2. What percentage of students scored 80 or lower? Right, that's 50%. 50% scored 80 or lower, because 25% there and 25% there. And 50% scored above 80, because that's why the 80 is the median. That's what the median represents. Look at another example here. What fraction of students scored below 70? What do you think? The median, again, is the second quartile, Q2. And remember, each box represents, and the whisker itself represents 25% of the data. That's why it's called quartile. From the word quartile is in fourths, right? So what fraction of students represent or scored below 70? So let's just roughly say that's the median. 50%. 50% of the students scored below that. How many students scored above 50? Roughly, let's say that's 50. You can say 25, 25, and 25. 75% of the students scored above 50, roughly. So again, each box, each area represents 25% of the data. How many students scored below 90, roughly? Here's 90. Seems to be inside the percentages. Roughly, you can say over 75% scored below 90. 25, 25, and 25. So that's how you look at box and whiskers. So just to review, remember when we make a box and whisker, the lower extreme is the minimum. It's the lowest number we have. The upper extreme is called also the maximum, or the max. It's the largest number we have. And these three are based on the median. Q2, the second quartile, is the median of all the numbers. The lower quartile is the median to the left of the median. The upper quartile, Q3, is the median to the right of the median.